Complete this rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
How are you working? How?
Who is that?
Welcome to The Point of View.
Welcome to Face to Face on Channel 1 Television.
And hello, welcome to What the Papers Are Saying.
This be football made in Ghana. It be the only pidgin show where it day on your screen. Channel 1 TV.
Well, thank you so much.
Some people are late. You know, they have to catch up. City TV is now Channel 1 TV. You understand?
This is Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
In this fast-paced world, we understand the value of your time, which is why we bring you the key stories that you need to know without any unnecessary filler. Our team of dedicated journalists have carefully curated the news, ensuring that you stay informed about the latest developments in your community, nation, and the world. From breaking news to in-depth features, we cover a wide range of topics to keep you up to date. In just 30 minutes, we'll bring you the top stories, providing you with a snapshot of what's happening around the globe, whether it's politics, business, sports, or entertainment. Channel 1 Newsfeed covers it all. Tune in to Channel 1 Newsfeed every weekday on Channel 1 TV and get the news you need quickly and efficiently. Stay connected, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve.
Just in case you missed our comprehensive news bulletin, CNR, at 8 p.m., enjoy the repeat at 11 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Wake up to a rich breakfast full of variety.
Blend your scrumptious wache with an energetic news review.
Right, it's your buffalo alongside uplifting and informative lifestyle conversations.
It's me, Chris Carter. Spend your mornings with me.
Or you can enjoy your mornings with me, Jifa KD Akuto.
And have breakfast with me, David Kwekusechi, right here on Breakfast Daily, every Monday to Friday from 7:25 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your favorite channel, Channel 1 TV.
Welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying, where we bring you the big stories for the week and dissect them as reported by the big media outlets. And then we look at the various angles they reported on those stories and matters arising from those stories.
The news cycle can sometimes be rather daunting. With an abundance of media houses publishing daily, where does one even begin? What the papers are saying is a one-stop shopping experience to know and understand the most important news items that made the headlines.
Then you are saying so of your opponent that he's organized boys to come and beat them, and he was telling police people.
Yeah.
What we saw the thing happen. And if what we saw is what it is, then it's a very shameful act from somebody who's supposed to be a member of parliament. And everybody has condemned except he himself. All the weapon he had was just a recorder.
Yeah.
And then you expose him to this kind of ridiculous. I mean, how do you do that?
Catch the next episode of What the Papers Are Saying with your host, Vivian Kai Loco, and her guests each Thursday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
In this fast-paced world, we understand the value of your time, which is why we bring you the key stories that you need to know without any unnecessary filler. Our team of dedicated journalists have carefully curated the news, ensuring that you stay informed about the latest developments in your community, nation, and the world. From breaking news to in-depth features, we cover a wide range of topics to keep you up to date. In just 30 minutes, we'll bring you the top stories, providing you with a snapshot of what's happening around the globe, whether it's politics, business, sports, or entertainment. Channel 1 Newsfeed covers it all. Tune in to Channel 1 Newsfeed every weekday on Channel 1 TV and get the news you need quickly and efficiently. Stay connected, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve.
You're welcome again to another edition of Situation Room. Situation Room is a show that has been tracking the election for you even before the first ballot was cast. In fact, even before the voter register was compiled. And now, after the facts, after the election, after the declaration, after the victories and the defeats, we're still here helping you make sense of the major wins and the major losses that were recorded in the elections of 2024, which happened, well, close to 2 weeks now. Since that election happened Sunday morning when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia emerged at his residence to concede defeat to John Dramani Mahama. Subsequently, the Electoral Commission chairperson, Jean Aduke Mensah, announcing that John Dramani Mahama is president-elect. We are working through a transition process now, yet we have 12 constituencies that are outstanding. This is because they have been disputed. So even though it is clear that the NDC has swept majority of seats in Parliament, there are still contentious constituencies that are up for discussion. Some are subject of legal litigation, others are subject of recollation. We'll be mentioning those ones for you. Meanwhile, we'll also look at which constituencies won it for the political party that is currently the party which has been elected, and we focus on the central region, one of the swing regions. How did that region behave in the just ended polls? This is the Situation Room. My name is Umaru Sandamado, and you're welcome to Channel 1 Television.
This
Christmas season, prepare your hearts for an unforgettable worship experience on Sunday 22nd December 2024. Join MOG Music, Barinikwe, Sisi Chum, Daughters of Glorious Jesus, alongside God's own crew and Empress as we gather for Christmas with MOG. The venue is ICGC Zoe Temple, Tema. Gates opening at 4 p.m. Event starts at 5 p.m. Rate 50 Ghana Cedis single, 80 Ghana Cedis double, and 150 Ghana Cedis VIP. Tickets are available at Airport Shell and Community 11 Shell, or dial star 389 star 777 hash to secure your spot. It is going to be a night of drama and worship. Remember, it's happening on Sunday the 22nd of December 2024. Media partners Channel 1 TV. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate the birth of Christ with powerful worship, electrifying music, and the warmth of fellowship.
Just in case you missed our comprehensive news bulletin, CNR, at 8 p.m., enjoy the repeat at 11 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
You're welcome back. This is the Situation Room on Channel 1 Television. Let me introduce now my panelists, and then we'll go into the discussions. To my right, Richard Delasky is a lawyer, he's a journalist. He's covered Parliament of Ghana for close to 2 decades for multiple media platforms. Hello, Counsel.
Thank you, my brother. How's it going? Honored to be here.
I'm well. I'm good to see you too. We're going to focus on Parliament today, so it's important that we have you here because you're an institution. It says that you have to write a book on Parliament. Are you working on that?
Perhaps I should write a book on the 8th Parliament.
No, write on all the parliaments.
I see.
8th Parliament, then you'll be biased because you've told me that it was not an effective parliament, which I disagree with. I don't want to read your disagreements. Sami Biafi is a correspondent at the presidency. How is the president doing?
He's well, Maru.
How is he? Has he packed it out yet?
No, he will do that on the 7th of January.
But has he started packing out?
No, not yet. He's still president. Until he hands over, he's still president.
His old office at the Ringway area.
No,
they have redeveloped that space into a very beautiful, sophisticated place. I don't know whether is it for his place or somebody else.
I've no idea.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
It's just behind GIJ.
Yeah. It used to be more or less like a campaign office during 2012 and 2016.
I mean,
but even his Nima place, they've removed all the hawkers at the front and grown lawns there. I don't know now that. And there are soldiers there, police people there. Now
I think they're also raising the wall or something.
But now that he's gone, the soldiers will
still be there.
Yeah, the soldiers will be there.
All the time?
Yeah, that's right.
But does your mama have soldiers in his house?
Yeah.
That's
I thought you have some police people protecting
you. You have both soldiers and police.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it means the hawkers can never come back there?
No. But they were compensated, duly compensated.
No, they were not. They were compensated.
They were duly
is a different matter. Subject. I remember we did stories where they were complaining that the thing was not plenty and all of this. Hey, but is he preparing to leave?
Oh, of course. Of course. Just this weekend, he was at the last ECOWAS meeting in Abuja, where he was praised for being Mr. Democrat, ensuring a peaceful election and a peaceful transition.
But he'll do a final address to Parliament, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, the last address to the nation on the state of the nation.
Before he but so on inauguration day, the shine is not on him, it's on the new person.
Not at all. I mean, he may be in attendance, which is normally the case. He will go to the grounds, if it is at the Independence Square. He will visit, he will go there as former president and congratulate.
He would have expired like 4 hours prior or 6 hours.
Exactly. Congratulate the new president. He will not be delivering any address.
No speech.
No speeches, just the cameras will tell us exactly how the two relate on the day, and that'll be it. He fades into history.
He won't carry the sword and give to...
Not at all. That's not how it is done.
Oh, wow.
That's not how it is.
Sky, I have a problem. Between midnight of January 6 or midnight of January 6 into January 7 and 9, 10, 11, 12, when the president is sworn in? Is there a vacuum, power vacuum?
Well, this matter has come up repeatedly in the past. But look, we sought to address the issue with the Presidential Transition Act. If you look closely at the Act, somewhere in the Act, they make it clear that 2 clear days before the expiry of the life of the old Parliament or the current Parliament, the new Parliament elect, if I can use that phrase, has to meet to elect a speaker and for the members to be duly sworn into office.
That's the Parliamentary Transition Act?
No, the Presidential Transition Act.
Okay.
Yeah. So what it means is that 2 clear days before the 7th, this current Parliament would have to make way for the new Parliament to use the chamber to elect a new speaker.
So on the 5th or on the 6th?
Yeah, most likely on the 6th, because if you look at 2 clear days. So when that happens, they will elect a new speaker and then they will take the oath, except that the effective date of the oath and day taking office will become the 7th of January 2000.
So it's futuristic.
Exactly. So then the fear you have about possible vacuum is effectively killed, because if the office of speaker is occupied and in the absence of the president and his vice, the provision says that the speaker shall assume the authority of state. Then,
is this a new law?
No, Presidential Transition Act was passed in 2012.
So you never utilized it?
Because of the complexities around some of the fights we've had. So for instance, the last time, we didn't use it until the last day because there was lack of clarity as to who was in the majority, who won which seats. Chechiman South was still in play, you know, and on the last day when they were supposed to even elect a speaker, there was a fight. You know, you remember that some people went to court to injunct a particular member, Jachikwesen, and they had to smuggle him into the chamber and all of that. So, although the provision is there, we have not properly engaged it.
So it means that this period is possible that we may have that done
exactly.
before?
That's what they are discussing.
Oh,
the only difficulty now is whether we would have vote on account or what do you call a budget in advance of what do you call appropriation. Because at today's sitting of the House, the majority side was accused of not being present on the floor to present that document. Well, they came, but the issue was whether the document was ready.
The finance minister was not ready.
No, he was not available. The former majority leader explained that they were making some changes to the document because of a number of new issues that had come up. And the document was not yet ready. So the House had to adjourn to tomorrow to return and deal with it. But again, there was also concern that the majority side presently is unhappy that the minority side is seeking to stifle their whole, tax exemption for, and they are forcing them to do their business when they are not ready to do their business. So it became back and forth, but eventually the speaker had to adjourn the House so that...
So they have between tomorrow to Friday or Saturday
as the case may be,
to present this budget, which would then have to be debated and approved, or it doesn't go through the rigorous nature of budgets?
No, it has to be. They have to deal with all the line items and ensure that it is in the interest of the Republic, because it would govern the country for the first 3 months of the year.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Which means they can do it after Christmas if they fail to do it now.
Well, technically, but after, yes. But again, all of these things, they have to be uploaded onto the gift mix system so that payment can be appropriate. We've changed how money is moved around and allocated and all of that. So if you don't upload it, the question is, how are you going to disperse?
But they must do it before this parliament ends.
Yes. It can't be because
it must be done before
at
January
the stroke
1st.
At the stroke of midnight,
on
this
31st.
particular budget expires.
Wow.
So if we don't do it, then we can't pay the people, we can't move government vehicles around, we can't take care of, even, in fact, swearing in the new president will not be possible because we have to spend money. Swearing in the new old parliament will not be possible because we have to spend money.
I'm sure they'll find a way around it. It's just, they're just showing each other power.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when one pulls and one slows down, maybe things will work out. Let's move on to our discussion for today. So we are looking at the outcome of the elections of 2024. We have currently 266 constituencies that we are very certain that we know who has been elected. But there are 12 outstanding. So, these 12 outstanding are subject of either court litigations or recollation.
Yes.
Can you walk through us?
Okay, so these 12 constituencies: 1 Dome Kwabinya, Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, Suhun, Akwetia, Fantiakwa North, Tema Central, Alfoano Southwest, Alfoano North, Obuasi East, and Sawom Eduejiri, and Techima South. So these are the 12 constituencies which are in contention now. You remember the Electoral Commission issued a statement some days ago declaring some of these declarations as illegal. Some of them have also decided to go to court. For instance, the Okankwe Central constituency, Patrick Bama says that the declaration was illegal, and so he's heading to court. So these are the 12 constituencies which have been, for more of a better word, have been put on hold till the Electoral Commission or the court decides the fate of these members of parliament or members of parliament elect in these particular constituencies. The Electoral Commission asks that they do some here in Accra, especially the Eastern region ones, at the Tesano Police Training School, but it was put on hold. For what reason, we do not know. So these are the constituencies on hold.
Very well. So let's talk about the ones that are not on hold. How is the national picture looking like in Parliament? So there'll be a reconfiguration. Who are going to sit on the right? Who will sit on the left? How many are sitting on the right? How many independents?
Well, for your permission, I'll go to the screen and then
permission granted. I mean, you are president's friend. Whom am I?
Display for you to see.
Restrain you from
what's going to happen. So per the national outlook, this is how it looks like. The green represents the NDC, which we all know. The blue represents the MPP, and the red represents the independent candidates who were elected in the various constituencies. So for the first time, we may have four independent parliamentary.
That's a lot.
4 independent MPs elect.
Wait, before you Sky, when was the last time you had so many independent MPs? I think
the first parliament under the Fourth Republic.
That was on Hawa Ogede was Hawa
Yeah,
Yakubu?
that's right. I have to get back to the records because I was looking at it just recently. And,
but I think the 2009 parliaments, the Mills government, when Samia was CPP. There was one independent, I think.
Well, at a certain point, Samia came in as said that he wasn't going to. She didn't want to be aligned. But ultimately, she had to be aligned. Yes, there was one independent member of parliament. But I'll get you that information.
And I think Joe Weiss also was independent at that point.
Yeah, that was in 2008.
But it appears that this will be the highest.
This will be the highest.
I'm thinking this will be the highest.
4 constituencies, the 4 constituencies. We have one here. This is the Woolensey constituency.
Please hold on a second. Sky, Woolensey is an important...
So that's the Nyimakam constituency. You remember that under the Kufuor administration, there was a certain MP who came to parliament, and then his election was challenged on the basis that he did not hail from the constituency and therefore ought not have been allowed to take back the election.
That's the Mekankan case?
Yeah, no, that's the Honorable Nyimakan. So he was challenged, and then eventually he was thrown out of parliament because when they looked at the law, it would seem that he was not from the constituency and therefore did not qualify to be in parliament.
Interesting.
And then it led to a by-election which produced a new member of parliament.
So has it been an NDC place or an MPP place?
At a certain point, it was an NDC seat. At a certain point, it was also an MPP seat.
Okay. Sami, please continue.
So the Woolensey constituency is one, Umaru, and then there's also the Afram Plains North constituency, which is coming as an independent parliamentary candidate.
Plains usually is an NDC zone.
Yes.
So if Afram Plains North goes independent, we have to find out what happened there, whether there was an NDC person who went rogue, using that word advisedly, or is an NPP aligned person who went independent. I think it would be interesting to know who that person is, but please proceed. And
then the next constituency, Umaru Sanda, is the Asante Akim North constituency in the Ashanti region.
Is that Agogo?
That's Agogo, to be precise, and the Apia Kubis constituency. The gentleman there happened to contest the MPP parliamentary primaries. He lost, but he felt that the party cheated him. The more reason why he decided to run as an independent candidate in that particular constituency. He runs a very popular radio station in that part of town known as Salt FM. And where it is, many people believe that he used or he capitalized on this particular radio station to push the agenda and ensure that he was elected as a member of party. He's an MPP person, but he felt very disgruntled during the MPP primaries to elect, parliamentary candidates in this particular constituency where Andy Apia Kubi won. He He wasn't happy. He petitioned the party several times, but nothing was done. He threatened that he was going to run independent. The party called his bluff and thought that, he couldn't do anything. He ran as independent candidate, and he won the particular seat as an independent candidate. But he's a true MPP, member who decided to run as an independent.
So he may caucus with them.
Of course.
Not of course. He may or may not.
He will.
Well, I mean, it's a question for he himself to determine.
To decide, But for someone who has run on the ticket of MPP for the prime, didn't win, and then decides to run as an independent candidate, going to Parliament, I don't foresee him switching camp.
Generally, they align with their mother parties, generally. Yeah. But it is within his authority to say that he wants to align with the governing party if it serves in his interest. Again, it depends on what he's being promised. Of course, the NDC currently, the one we expect to see in the next Parliament, would have sweeping majority. So they are unlikely to actually go into transactions of the kind we're talking about. But then, and just quickly to add, though, that when Honorable Nyimakan was thrown out of Parliament because of the issue of where he came from, the seat went then to the MPP. In fact, my good friend, Honorable Wumbe, was elected to become the MPP member of Parliament for that constituency.
So I was going to say something on the Asante Achim MP, independent. There's a saying, or someone just said to me last week, that nobody goes to opposition when there's position. So if they offer him position, he may forget his blood. I mean, again, he went into battle with his party anyway. So anyway, that's...
Okay, so just to deal with what you just raised. So, traditionally, per the rules, the position of first deputy speaker and second deputy speaker must go to two different parties. And parties in this case should be interpreted to include an independent member of parliament. So if the MPP makes the mistake of putting up a candidate against whoever is presented, and the NDC, as we've seen in the past, says that, okay, well, I mean, since you have put up a candidate, we are going to deny you the second deputy speaker position, then we have an issue.
That's a Sechi Hughes issue.
Exactly. Yes, so Sechi Hughes was put up against, or in fact, the NDC put up Peter Alajete against Sechi Hughes. And the NPP side got angry that, okay, really, you wanted to do this? We don't want the man. You say you want him. Okay, go ahead. So when they put it to a vote and Sechi Hughes won, then the NPP said, okay, we are not giving you first deputy speaker, we are not giving you second deputy speaker. So at that point, Freddie Blade became the second deputy speaker, and Malik Al-Hassan Yakubu of Yendi became the first deputy speaker.
So today, if NDC wishes to, this is interesting, Sky, what you're saying. If NDC wants to punish NPP, they can offer this gentleman the second deputy speaker position. They may even offer it to the next person you are going to. Let's go to that person. Who is the next?
That is the Gomua Central constituency, won by famous Kwame A+. He decided to run in that particular constituency. A lot of people called his bluff and said he wasn't really going to do anything. But the outcome of the election shows that indeed Kwame A+ had won the Gomua Central constituency, defeating the current Deputy Minister of Interior, Nana Iya, in that particular constituency. Pascal, I have a question. Can a first-time MP, like an independent, be given a position like first?
There's no rule around it. The most important thing is that you have some understanding of what you do as a speaker. Of course, A+ is not a lawyer. Traditionally, the position goes to lawyers. So as to how that will play out, I do not know.
But the clerks can help him. Usually speakers are helped.
Yeah, but you see, when you know your stuff,
gamble,
yeah, when you know your stuff and you're presiding, it's an entirely different matter. The people who occupied it, nobody came to teach them the rules.
The gentleman from the independents,
Esiama.
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer. Yeah. Okay. So you think you'll be functioning effectively, more effectively, if you are a lawyer.
If you are a lawyer,
it will work better for you in that way.
That's right. Because you appreciate the rules, you know how to engage them. There are times that you have to make rulings on the spur of the moment.
If it is shaggy reasons that they are putting you there, you are going to be second deputy speaker. You can just be the ceremonial. You just come and take vote and proceedings when need be. You don't look. It just means that the speaker would be NDC, the first deputy speaker will be NDC. Then number 3 position will be given to an independent person, whether or not that person is a lawyer. All what happens is that you will just come and sit down.
But that would be...
Are there not major and minor issues in Parliament?
There are, yes.
So when there are minor issues, they say you come and sit down.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that there are matters that eventually get to be determined by the second deputy speaker, because maybe the speaker is not around, he's out of the jurisdiction. The first deputy speaker who should take the chair is also caught up somewhere. And then you see that the second deputy speaker, who ideally, per your argument, should not be deciding major matters, then becomes very prominent in taking decisions. You also notice that at a certain point, we didn't have all three of them available. So Katie Hammond, for instance, was elected to become the member presiding. So in those cases, it's a very tricky matter.
No, but you see, this parliament, we can count the number of times Bagby was absent because a lot of things were controversial. Exactly. So he had to always be in the seat. I'm sure they can find a way around if they want to mafia. So I think MPP just has to play his cards well. Otherwise, they may lose that slot of second deputy speaker.
You mean MPP?
MPP.
Well, so what triggered the what's the name? The Sechi Hughes and Alajete situation was, of course, a fight to preserve Peter Alajete, because at the time the view was that Peter had fallen out
with
Kufuor, and he didn't want to have anything to do with him. So he declined the invitation to have him renominated to become the Speaker of Parliament. The NDC felt that he had done such a wonderful job and ought to be given the opportunity to continue asserting the independence of Parliament. So on the day when the Honorable Felix Owusu-Ejepong, the Venerable, the late Felix Owusu-Ejepong, nominated exactly, as the candidate, then Bagbin was on his feet to say that, well, I mean, these guys, they gave the man the opportunity. He read his tall profile and said that this is the man who should be occupying the chair. The MPP side got angry and said that, okay, if that's what you would do, let's go to the vote. They went to the vote, they lost. And then they say, okay, because of that, naturally, the Honorable, what's his name, lawyer from the Volta region, respected Ken Jirasa, who could easily have become, because that was his position.
Because he was second deputy. He lost it.
Yeah, that's right. Because of that, the MPP denied them and then gave it to Freddie Wosimo.
When he came to this parliament, and Sami will come back, when he came to this parliament, when NPP rose up to nominate Professor Michael Okwe, typically it would be allowed to go, but the NDC also rose to nominate Bagbin, and Bagbin won. But NDC deliberately opted out of the first and deputy speakership thing. Because at the time, they believed that the person who is presiding as speaker cannot vote. And they needed all their 137 votes in parliament. So they deliberately opted out. MPP then went with the independent person and also an MPP person. And to the court, the Supreme Court decided that no, a person presiding in that manner can also vote. So I think NDC maybe undid themselves in this parliament. Otherwise, they would have had both a speaker and the first deputy speaker or second deputy.
Well, that is also part of the issue, but then there were a number of other issues at play. I mean, were we going to go on and on with a fight in the House when foreign dignitaries were sitting, presidents from all over the world were sitting? So a lot of concessions were made to get this thing through. They said, well, okay, let's not even, because the MPP side was going to push for reballoting and taking the vote again because someone had decided to run off with a ballot paper.
No, it's not someone, it's my senior from Tema Secondary School.
And so it became unclear as to what Bagbin got and what do you call it? Okwe got. At least that was the impression created.
At that time, the dignitaries were sitting at the dome.
Yeah, waiting and sweating.
Oh, Charlie, that morning was a long morning.
Yeah, we don't want to have that repeated.
So, Sami, we have four independent parliamentary
MPs.
Yes. And I'm looking at his victory, A+'s victory.
Yeah.
Now, A+ used to play a song that was a sick tune when you were hosting the big issue and when I took over.
That is so.
Then my belly full, but we hungry. Now, he is going to... Now, this is a gentleman who used to do political satire through music, mocking the system. And he was very prominent in the Kufuor administration period, where he did skating songs taking on the government at the time, taking on all politicians. One of my favorite A+ songs is called A Letter to Parliament. Or was it Letter to the West?
The West.
Either Letter to the West or Letter to the West. Where he launched a skating attack on politicians. He mocked, Atamils, mocked Kufuor, mocked Pakwesi Indum and all those people in his songs. Today he's come to Parliament, even though he hasn't done it on a political platform. He's going to be part of them. My belly full, where we're hungry. Oh?
Well, I mean, people for all manner of reasons decide to take on the system. If you listen to him, he explains that, well, he has become tired of politicians making promises and failing to fulfill them. And of course, these were some of the things that he raised in his songs. And then also, you know that he has become very vocal over the last, since he supported Nanado. Nanado didn't win, and eventually Nanado won. And then he became very prominent when he took up the issue of Kolebu Teaching Hospital and related matters. But the point is that he has actually found his voice in a big way. And he's channeled that, using that together with what he achieved with his music career to galvanize support for himself in the Gomoa Central, right, constituency. And now he's a member of parliament. Now the question is whether the things that he was speaking against, he's coming to fix them, or he's coming to be a part of the problem. Now that is a big issue for him to deal with, because in any event, he's going there as an independent candidate. We know his leanings to the MPP because of his previous association with Nanado, but we also do know that in recent history, he's been sort of seen as supporting the GM agenda. The question is whether when he goes into the House, he would align MPP, which is the minority, or he will align the
Sky, for a first timer going independent, gaining so much, that's very impressive. 14,000 votes. The person after him, 11,000, and the third person, 10,000. That's a very comfortable win that he got there. It's very, very impressive, and I think he deserves congratulations.
Exactly. In excess of what? About 4,000 votes or so.
Because you didn't have a party machinery supporting you.
Yeah.
And usually when people do, the people may think it's a joke. And then for him to have gotten this far,
yeah,
I think it's very impressive.
So what you see then is that he appears to have taken votes away from Nana, the Deputy Minister for the Interior.
And who I want us, Sami, to talk to us about. Who is Nana?
Well, she's the current Aska, the Deputy Minister of Interior. She came in through the reshuffle, I think the last reshuffle of President Akufo-Addo. She wasn't a member. I think she's been in Parliament since 2016. And she was going for another term. Unfortunately, A+ took over from her current Deputy Minister. One of the reasons I've heard that contributed to her defeat in the constituency was that as a Deputy Interior Minister, she had access to, in terms of the recruitment within the security sector. A lot of constituents said that she did not use that particular position to influence in getting the constituents to these security agencies, because as a Deputy Interior Minister, you had some oversight responsibility in this area, and the area of protocol and the rest, you could have used it to help the people, but then she couldn't get it. There was a wild campaign against her by A+ in their constituency. We've seen series of videos where they meet at social functions and they don't greet each other. And when A+ decides to, stretch out, she will just ignore him in this gathering. So there was a bad blood between the two of them in the constituency. And A+ consistently ran campaign against her, leading to this particular defeat in this year's election.
Interesting. So since we are in the central region, so she actually defeated a former deputy minister in the John Mahama government
administration,
and now she has also been defeated by wow, interesting. Since you are in the central region,
and you will note that in 2016 she had in excess of 14,000 votes, so 14,178. A+ did just a few 100 or so over that. Wow. And in 2020, she got the seat again with 20,527 votes. So in 2020, she did better.
Yeah.
So if she had repeated the 2020 figures, she would have been comfortable. But again, like I said, A+ previously was seen as MPP aligned. Of course, recently shifted alliance a little bit. The point is that did she take votes away from the deputy minister? It would seem that she did. And that's why she got 11,000. And A+ made 14,000.
Interesting. This is a Situation Room on Channel 1 television. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be delving deeper on the picture in Central Region. Please stay with us.
Meet Kevin, your go-to buddy for epic movie marathons.
What do you mean?
Trust me.
On the other side.
Kevin, how come you're always this pumped during movie night?
because I upgraded to Go TV Super Plus.
Nice! Well, be like Kevin. Upgrade and enjoy more for less.
Decide whether you're going to step up or not.
Go TV Super Plus, now at a reduced price.
Look at me!
Level up your entertainment and savings. Go TV. Love it.
Tell me, is this thing on now? I've been working long like a marathon now. Tying up words, making them a ball now. Tell me, we too lonely alone now. I got a message when they put it in a song now. I'll see you later, all the haters got it wrong now. We're touching the lightning, we're coming alive, yeah. We're feeling inside, yeah. We got the power.
Tank 300, where power meets elegance. Call us on 0501 772222 or 0501 773333.
Get ready for the ultimate celebration of the year, the Situation All White Christmas Party 2024. This Christmas Eve, join us at the Situation All White Christmas Party for a night of unforgettable vibes. Date 24th December 2024. Time 8 p.m. Location The Underbridge, East Legon. Expect nothing but pure magic as we light up the night with incredible performances from Keche, the hitmakers who know how to get you moving. Misakede, Ghana's Soul Master, with melodies that will take you to another world. A Chinchin Band, a live performance experience like no other. DJ Mingo, the party maestro, keeping the beats flowing all night. I've done it best, bringing the energy to keep the crowd jumping. And MOG, leading us in spirit-filled worshiping style. Dress code all white. Let's shine together in style. It's going to be a night to remember, full of music, dance, and festive spirit. Don't miss out on the hottest party of the season, the party that shuts down all parties. Call 0205-973-973 for table reservations and get ready to party. It's going to be lit at the Underbridge. The Situation All White Christmas Party 2024 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 City FM and proudly sponsored by Carlsberg Beer, Kiss Drinks, Series, Bell Ice, Verve Duvernay, Bushmills Irish Whiskey, and Blue Jeans Energy Drink.
Yeah, welcome back. This is Situation Room on Channel 1 Television. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. In studio, I have Richard Dalaskai and Sami Wiafi, who is actually going to take us to the maps and show us more. So, Sami, we are focusing on the central region today. Talk to us about the central region.
All right, so we first of all look at the general outlook in the country as far as the elections go. Now, as you mentioned, let's zoom into the central region, Umaru Sanda. So we select the region, which is the central region, and this is how it looks like. The general outlook in the central region as far as the election of 2024 is concerned. So when you look at the map of the central region, you have the blue, you have the green, and then the red. The blue represents the MPP, the number of seats the MPP won in the region. The green represents the NDC, majority of them, and the red represents the independent candidate, which we just mentioned, Kwame A+, Kwame Obing, as is popularly known as. So this is how it looks like for the central region. When you look at the figures, going into the election, the central region had 1,752,162 voters. As at the voting, 1,088,432 people, in fact, voted on December 7th. 23 constituencies as we have now. So we look at the picture, the MPP is here, the NDC green, and then the independent candidate. Compared to the same figures, parliamentary figures in that particular region, in 2020, Umaru, the MPP had 4 seats. The NDC, in 2024, MPP 4 seats, NDC 18 seats. Go back to 2020, MPP 10 seats, NDC 13 seats. MPP lost 6 votes, 6 seats, NDC gained 5. So this is how the general picture looks like as far as the central region is concerned in the parliamentary election of 2024.
I find it interesting. So in 2016, when the dust settled, NDC had 3.
Yes.
And MPP had 20.
In
this
the
was 2016.
Region. Yes.
Just 8 years ago. And that 20 against 3 has turned into what?
Repeated itself in 2024.
18 against 4. Or 18 against 5. This is really serious. Central region is really a swing.
I remember
region.
in 2016, there was also the weight of change, as we are seeing now in this election. So a lot of people will just conclude that anytime there is a change in every 8-year cycle, you see the sweeping changes within the central region. And the records show that anytime there is a change and the 8-year cycle is ending, you see seats which originally belonged to other political parties flipping to the other political parties, as we've seen in the 2024
So
election.
which ones are the major? Let's look at the MPP seats. Which are the 4? We've talked about the independent person for the central region. That's Kwame A+.
Yes.
That's Gomwa Central. There are 4 blues. So where did NPP manage to win?
So the first seat, which is the Upper Dentra West constituency, the MPP candidate there, Rudolph Amwako Jampa, 16,947. NDC's Daniel Hene, 13,858, representing 44.15%. MPP representing 53.99%. And the vote margin was just 3,089 votes. Registered voters, as we have here, and a lot of people who voted. So in the central region, one of the constituencies the MPP won, Upper Dentra West constituency. Then we move on to the next constituency. We come here, which is the Asin South constituency. Your very good friend, Intim Fojo's constituency.
Reverend.
There were earlier reports that he had lost in that constituency.
Yes.
Until, these figures came in.
So Reverend Tim Fojo is one, in fact, is about the only NPP member of parliament who was part of the 8 members of parliament who represented the anti-LGBTQI bill in parliament.
Yes.
So there are 7 NDC. He is the only MPP member of parliament. He's a pastor, he's a reverend. He is deputy minister for education, Reverend Tim Fojo. So that's Asin South.
Asin
so
South.
Asin has 3 constituencies: South, Central, and North. And South is the only one MPP has now. MPP has lost Central.
Which traditionally was an MPP seat, the seat of Kennedy Japan. But in this year's election, the Green got the NDC won that particular seat for the first time.
So Tim Fojo's victory is not a very comfortable one. So it's about 1,000, actually less than 1,000.
Because you realize the number of registered voters, 61,020. And looking at the vote between the 2 candidates, 14,000 and 30,000, it looks like quite a number of people did not come out to vote. For you look at the total
over 20,000 people,
which is 39,000, and only 39 people came out to vote out of 61,020.
The
low turnout generally, as we've mentioned earlier, also affected this particular constituency. Now, we move on to another constituency, which is the Hemai Lower Dentra constituency. Lawrence Ajinsam, 17,000, who represented the MPP, 17,228, representing 62.32%. The NDC's candidate, Ejepo Mensah Seth, 9,527 votes, 34.64%. The winning margin, 7,701. Registered voters, 41,000. Those who came out to vote, 27,645. And then the last constituency, the MPP.
So the victory here, Sami, is an impressive one.
It's an impressive one.
For the person who was won. You know much about him, the MP?
He was he still was the CEO of, I think, Exim Bank.
Okay.
He won the primaries and defeated the current, he was shuffled. The deputy Labour Minister, Reku Brobe.
Oh, Bright Reku Brobe.
When the party held its primaries to elect parliamentary candidates, he won that particular one. I think he's the current CEO of Exim Bank. Exim, if he's not resigned, I think he's still the current CEO of that particular bank. And then we do the last constituency, which the MPP won in the central region, which is, here we go, Efutu. Efutu.
Alexander
We didn't expect a switch in the Efutu constituency because the candidate there was Alexander Kwamina Market. They call him Do the Do because they believe that anything he promises he's able to achieve in that constituency. And look at the vote, 39,512 represents 66.31%. The NDC, Anand James Kofi, who was always in the news running series of accusations and counter-accusations against Apenyo Marking, making 19,000.
Who is James Kofi Annan?
He runs an NGO.
Is he related to any public?
I have no idea about that, but I know he runs an NGO, in that particular constituency, and it involves, children and the likes. Yeah, 19,000.
I would like Sky to talk to us a bit about this constituency.
Yes.
Sky, you understand this constituency. You also know Alex Afenyo-Markin. Now, first of all, is he ever? Is the constituency an ever area? Efutu is what? Is Efutu people?
Well, so the constituency, which has the capital Winneba, is a coastal constituency. And as you do know, the term Avao means the people of the valley. So when they say it's not Eres, it's Avao, people of the valley. And you do know that they were either fishing inland or fishing along the coast. And because of that, they tend to move a lot. So if you go to Winneba today, which is the capital of the Efutu constituency.
Windy Bay. Yeah,
Windy Bay. The white people call it Windy Bay because it has a bay. It's a very beautiful place. It has a strong presence of the Avao people because they are into fishing. And you can do both inland fishing and what you call it, coastal fishing, marine fishing in the Futu constituency. And Marking happens to be partly from the Volta region and then also partly from Winneba, the central region. The mother comes from the central region and the father comes from the Volta region. And that combination helps him a lot because what he's been able to do is to be able to flip the predominantly NDC areas which happen normally to be, Ewe communities. So for instance, if you go to a place like, Akosia village, that is predominantly, you see.
So when you get there, it's like a plow.
Yeah, it's just like a plow. And they are speaking of it. And they are fishing and their numbers are huge. Hitherto, they were not so much, like always suspicious of the MPP. But over time, because of what he's been able to do for the people, he's been able to turn many of these NDC areas.
This is Mike Hammer's constituency.
Yeah, this is Mike
Hammer. So is Mike Hammer he defeated. So Alex himself, does he speak Ewe?
Yeah, he speaks some Ewe.
And also Efutu.
Yeah, that's right. And also Efutu. And
so it's not a Fanti land. The place is not Fanti necessarily.
So it is for the Guans. So because the Guans, that's part of the place. But you have heavy, Fanti presence there. And then you have the Ebes are also there. Then you have the Akans also there. They also have their Zongos as is also
for those
the case. And then also, because of the huge presence of, students from other constituencies who are in school at the
University of Education,
Winneba.
For those of us who don't know Winneba, all we know is there's a Winneba roundabout, and then you either continue to Cape Coast or you come to Accra. So to the left is Winneba, and to the right is Winneba, or Winneba is just
so there's
to the
new
left?
Winneba. If you turn to the right, you're going towards Swedru. Then you are connecting to the new Winneba areas. But the main township is to the left.
Towards the sea.
Exactly. That is when you go into the Winneba proper. It's a beautiful and a historic, a fishing community. And a lot of Ghana's history happened there, where some of the initial political efforts to get Ghana independence, the CPP's history, they are all, partly formed there.
20,000 win margin is big. It means he has a firm grip on the constituency.
Exactly.
Any key things he's been doing there?
Well,
beyond sending ECOWAS Parliament to Winneba.
No. Those are huge achievements because traditionally these things happen in the national capitals of the member states. But he's been able to use his influence, his position, his contacts to persuade the ECOWAS Parliament to move it outside of the national capital to win it back. Of course, that, if you speak to the people of the constituency, that played a huge part in, if you like, reviving the economy of the place, because hitherto people were not coming there to do conferences. Tourism events were not as big, apart from the ones you have, the Masquerade Festival and related, festivals like the Boachiri Festival. You didn't have anything happening beyond that. But because of that intervention, it made it possible for the local, hotel industry to build that capacity, because they received guests for, I think, about 3 different occasions that ECOWAS came in there to hold international conferences. That's a big deal. And they were able to hold, make it possible for people from all parts of Africa to come and sleep there for 2 weeks and 3 weeks in some cases. So it built capacity for them. It revived the economy. And then also, look, Alex is one of the MPs I know who has sunk so much money into his constituency. He comes from a private business background. Previously, before he came to Parliament, he was in moving logistics. So moving manganese and bauxite and other things from the western region and other parts of the country before that business collapsed when the new government came into office. Then he turned to Togo to bring, clinker and related materials from Togo, from Tablibo, in order to come and support the cement industry in Ghana. Of course, there were challenges with that. Eventually, he moved on. But he still has heavy investment in many areas of the economy. And with that, he's able to support his constituency. In fact, if you go to his office, you think he's holding a rally.
A clinic, queuing.
People are almost always there. And when he's in the constituency, people become aware. They line up. And investments into the people's health, dealing with issues about hepatitis B. In fact, the single largest number of libraries in a constituency, in a township, is in Afutu. And he built it using private capital and related...
He's not been a minister before, but he's been majority leader. That helped him, you think, or is already something he's been doing?
No, he achieved all this thing before becoming
that's right.
majority.
You see, Making is not one person who came to power to acquire wealth in that sense, because long before he went into active partisan politics, he was investing. So as I said, he was into moving, he had a lot of trucks. With trucks they were using to move, magnesium and bauxite from the western region to the ports, so then they can be transported. Of course, at a certain point he served as an assembly member and then became the presiding member in the Afutu Municipal Assembly.
Okay.
And then from there, he won the ticket. Mind you, when John Kufuor was president, he was one of the youngest people to actually have, at least he won the ticket. But for some reason, they said there's some Pululu, some Chaka matter. Eventually, they had to invite him to the presidency and told him that, look, let the sitting member of parliament.
Mike Hammer at the time?
No, it wasn't Mike Hammer.
Okay.
It was, I've forgotten his name.
Okay.
He should be the person to go. And, he wept bitterly. That was how come he did not get a ticket. He would have come to parliament earlier. But that meant that he didn't come to parliament. He had to wait until 2012.
Interesting.
When he was,
So that's a story of Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin and a foot to Sami. So the central region generally, it was 562,000 votes for the NDC at the presidential level, 382,000 for Dr. Baumia. So 4 NPP seats. No, is it 3 or 4? 4. 4 NPP seats, one independent, and then 18 for NDC. Now let's talk about the major ones that NDC flipped.
Okay, so when you look at...
Maybe you can take us constituency by constituency.
Okay, so let's take the Upper Dintra East. When you look at the data, NDC fielded Ankoma Emilia, 24,426,000, representing 55.83%. MPP fielded Festus Ewa Kofi, 18,000, 895, representing 43.19%. The win margin, as you have Umaru, 5,531. Registered voters, 70,000. Only 43,000 came out to vote in that number.
30,000 posted.
Looking at the figures, I think that party was across board.
The MPP wants us to believe there was only MPP people who didn't show up to vote.
Do you believe that?
I disbelieve that until I interviewed Dennis Miracle Abuaji this afternoon, and he tried to convince me. So I'm convinced 17%.
17%.
Well, you see, the view I take is that, first of all, there was huge apathy. No two ways about it. Because, I mean, a good number of my friends said that they were not going to vote. They were tired. I persuaded some of them to step out there to vote. But others said, look, they had their best sleep on the day of the election.
Oh, yeah. There's a snoring sleep.
Look, they had their best sleep, according to them, on the day of the election. They didn't want to get involved. They didn't care what was going to happen. They just didn't give a toss.
So the issue is that from the numbers, it's apparent that there was apathy.
Yeah, and then also I believe that we do not have the right numbers on our voters register. I honestly
You mean the ghosts have finally gone home?
I honestly believe that the voters register is bloated in a sense.
No, but Sky, if it is, then it means that national census is also bloated.
Well, you're looking at a population that is from 32 or 33 million people.
Yeah,
and we are told that 18 million out of that that's...
And at the end of the day, those who voted are like 7,000 or 8,000. Like 10,000 people have stayed home. I interviewed Dennis Miracle Abuaji for Face to Face, which will be airing this evening. And he said that on election day, he saw MPP people standing aloof. Like, it's not as if they have gone to the farm or they've gone to the market.
They just didn't care.
He said they were there, voting day. Masa na munko tu Bere, no here, I won't vote. They stood at the polling station. It's not as if they were in their homes. I mean, your people, at least they went to sleep. According to him, these ones didn't sleep. They were there watching and waiting for you to lose the election, for you to learn. I mean, that's what the narrative MPP wants to push across. And I'm saying that if there was apathy, how come the apathy affected only their side? Well, I think there was apathy, and I'm sure it affected both sides. But if you look at the numbers Mahama got, are you suggesting to me that between 2020 and now, 4 years, Mahama could only add 100,000 extra votes after everything he did? That means he was bound to have lost his election.
Well, if you look at the numbers that Musa Dankwa put out after the elections, he made it clear that a lot of the NPP people went out deliberately to vote for NDC, and that the net loss actually affected the NPP. Of course, it's data talking, and if that is anything to go by, then of course, you know, people went out there as NPP people traditionally and decided that, look, we are tired of our party, let's give somebody else the opportunity to come and serve. Of course, that does not defeat entirely the argument that there was voter apathy, because I told you, when I went to my adopted constituency, the Amasaman constituency, to vote, there were people playing draft, or what do you call it? How do you call it?
Dummy.
They were playing dummy. When I asked them, they said they were not interested in voting. Meanwhile, they were just next to the polling centers. So, and I'm talking about a sizable number.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to the polling station officials, they made it clear to me that they have been doing this for some time now. This was the first time they were seeing such a huge number failing to turn up. In fact, at a particular polling station that they needed, I think that about 700 or so people needed to come out. Around 300 people came out to vote.
Less than half.
That's significant.
So apathy, I also saw it at my polling station. Now the question is whether it was an MPP, it was MPP MPs, people who didn't come out to vote. Musa Dankwa, our most credible pollster now, based on his success in the just ended election, put up on Facebook, he says, demystifying the myth that MPP supporters did not come out to vote, hence NPP handed over power to NDC. From the exit poll, we took a closer look at the data, searching for the evidence, but we did not find much. We looked at voters who voted for Nanado in 2020 elections but abandoned Dr. Bawumia for John Mahama, as well as voters who voted for Mahama in 2020 but abandoned him for Dr. Bawumia in 2024 elections. The empirical fact shows that in the Ashanti region, more of JDM voters switched to vote for Baumia than Nanado voters switching to vote for JDM, resulting in a net gain of 8% for DMB. While in the Northeast, the net gain for DMB was 16%. However, JDM made net gains in the rest of the 14 regions on the measures as summarized below. So he's saying that based on the data and exit polls are usually conducted, not usually, exit polls are conducted on election day. It's typically you question the people as soon as they finish voting. And he's saying that the data doesn't show that the apathy affected only NPP. But of course, this is data speaking.
Well, that's exactly the point I was making, that according to his findings, the people, a lot of MPP people went out there and decided that they were not going to support Baumia's candidature for the presidency. They went in for his opponent, John Dramani Mahama. Of course, I mean, that raises a number of issues. First of all, was it because they thought that he was not going to do a good job? Was it because they were judging him on the basis of the current performance we are seeing? Was it because, you know, he happens to be a man of a certain, you know, religious faith that they did not believe in? Because, mind you, it became an issue. In fact, it was an issue. They played it, the people who were interested in it played it underground or under G until the last few days of the election when it blew up. So, I think
talked about that, the final
exactly.
rally.
So those issues, for now, they have not been critically examined. But I believe that the time will come when we have to put the microscope on that particular matter to know how it actually affected the election.
Let's go back to the central region. Sami, which constituency are you
Another constituency which caused a major surprise to many was the Ewutu Senya East constituency, Hawa constituency.
This is a constituency that has Kaswa.
Kaswa. And then Kaswa in its, you know, environs.
Kaswa means market in Hausa.
Yeah, Kaswa.
No, that's your version. Your number 9 version.
Kaswa.
Kaswa. A lot of people thought Hawa Kumsi was, you know, the queen mother of Kaswa. Because for a long while she's been on the seat, I think since 2012. And so for a young lady to come in to challenge her was not going to be really possible, because this is the second or the third time this same lady is trying to challenge Hawa Kumsi, but it didn't work out. But in this year's election, when you look at the figures released by the Electoral Commission, Hawa Kumsin, 45,638, representing 46.97%. And then you have Felix Nakoye Okono.
Felix Nakoyo.
Okono.
Koyo. She's Dangbe.
Okay, thank you. 50,886, representing 52.37%. Win margin 5,248. Umaru, before this election, this particular constituency was in the news for the bad reasons, from registration to election day and the rest. Remember, during the election, there was some confusion in this particular constituency where there are reports that the son of Hawa Kumsi was stabbed through this, you know, confusion here and there. During the same registration, this young lady was arrested, kept at the cantonment police station for a number of days before she was released and sent back to the constituency. When she got to the constituency, there was jubilation there because people thought that they've defeated Goliath, because they called Hawa Kumsi the Goliath one way or the other. So she spent a night at the cantonment police station. When she came back, there was a press conference held at the NDC headquarters, addressed by the national chairman, Johnson Esili Ketia, who said that because of what has happened in that particular constituency, they're going to marshal all efforts to ensure that Hawa Kumsi is defeated in the election. Come December 7, 2024, this is the outcome of the election. Hawa Kumsi was defeated by the NDC parliamentary candidate. But then when you look at the registered voters in that particular constituency, 173,995, total vote cast 97,159, and one out of the 23 constituencies in the central region. So this was a major shock to people who live in Kaswa and political watchers in this particular area.
Yeah,
look at the numbers.
Yeah, so you had 173,995 voters registered, right? And out of that, 97,159 came out to vote. Now that is a huge difference.
So this 70,000 people, they slept out.
Yeah, in excess, in that, close to 80,000 people decided not to come out and vote. Now, again, it brings the issue. Why were people not interested in going out there to vote? Kaswa is sort of more like a metropolis of some kind, because it's huge. But it also has many problems. There are issues of crime there.
For the bad reasons.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are issues of crime there. You do know of the reports that came up at some point that people's private parts were going missing.
Disappearing.
Exactly. Then you also know about the ritual killing and the young men or the boys who were involved in that. The nature of their roads, many of their roads, the inner roads are in horrible shape. Sakawa is a huge issue. Water is a huge problem in many parts, because for some reason the layout hasn't been properly done and people moved into those areas. Langards are there.
Someone was shot in front of a police station.
In fact, a soldier.
Yes.
A soldier went to, see his land, and then there was some butu-butu. He drove to the police station hoping that he was going to report the matter and be saved there. People went in and emptied their bullets into him. So Kaswa is huge. Look at the market conditions they have there. Many of their markets don't even look like markets. Ideally, Kaswa is easily the biggest town after Accra as we know it. Of course, Ashama may want to put up a fight, but
I think Ashama is the eastern side of so Kaswa and Ashama are
exactly.
They are like a whole. I don't even know the right word to use. And Kaswa, like I was saying, is a Hausa word which means market.
Market, yeah.
Now, I don't, so it means there's a whole marketplace of people, ideas, problems, solutions.
Previously, we were told that it was our migrant, herdsmen.
Yeah.
They went to sort of, they were selling cattle and all kinds of things, and then it became
I think they call it Kaswa Mahmudu. At the time, they had the various names for the various markets. So each market was named after somebody. So there's Kaswa Mahmudu. There's one in around the Newtown area.
Yes.
It's also called after somebody and all of those things. So, and it keeps expanding and expanding, and people are building. The new settlements are becoming, and so it's a buffer between Greater Accra and Central region. But I think we should put it in Greater Accra region because it's really a Greater Accra.
Well,
look at the number of people who live there and work in Accra. It's a dormitory city.
Yeah, it is a dormitory city, except that it is not living up to expectation. Because ideally, with that number, you would expect that the people will have good roads, they would have great markets.
But they have an interchange.
Well, that is not all there is to it. That's the development.
But even the interchange is occupied by hawkers.
Hey, but they sell under it. It's an umbrella.
No, you see, someone has got to move in there and sanitize the situation. Because previously it was a developing community. At that point, yes, we could have managed it. But look at where Kaswa has gotten to.
It's gotten out of hand.
Yes.
And I think the police has created a region in that area. And I'm sure Kaswa will be one of them. So even though Kaswa is in Central region, it's not in the Central region in police administration. There's a Central East region of the police service. So that should tell you how big it is.
It is huge.
And I think it should be converted into a metropolis. I don't know what that would come with, because it's really a big town. It's really heavy. But let's move on. So Hawa Kumsi has lost. She's Minister for Fisheries. She was Minister for Special Development Initiatives. She's lost that seat. Which constituency are you taking us next?
Well, I feel we can.
Just to make a quick comment, if I may. You see, the general demeanor of Hawa didn't help matters. I mean, look, again, it comes back to the lack of rigor on the part of the police. Here, we were told the minister goes to a polling station or registration center and
with a Kalashnikov.
Guns are fired. Some people suggest it was without authority or the appropriate permits, or all these things were made. The police were supposed to get involved in that matter. And in fact, where the police failed to act, at least it was the responsibility of the president to show that, look, as my appointee, you don't display the level of bravado that you were accused of, displaying. And on the basis of that, something ought to have happened. But we didn't see any action. And then we saw all the kuka, the back and forth, and then this debate between her and then also the NDC candidate on TV3, and how that degenerated quickly into a game of insults. Of course, people must have been watching, and they would have been asking themselves whether this person should be the best representative of this particular constituency.
But maybe they believe that her posture is the kind of person who would win the seat for them. and that maybe she's able to match the constituency booth for booth. If the constituency is hot, they need a hot iron lady, because that's what they call it, iron lady, to run the show.
Look, when she came to Parliament first, the Honorable Joe Gatti matched her to me. And I did her very first interview in Parliament. I did it. And I was expecting her. And in fact, she went on to surprise many people because, you know, in that interview, it was obvious that this was somebody who was just coming into a space that would have been new to her ordinarily in terms of how she should handle herself and all of that. To continue up to become a Minister of State and was in charge of special initiatives and then also become Minister for Fisheries. Look, she climbed. She did climb. But the question is whether her general demeanor eventually ought to have been. I honestly believe that if she had comported herself properly in the eyes of many people, perhaps she could have maintained that particular seat. But a number of things came up around her and they did not reflect properly on the kind of person that she was known to be. And I think power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
How are Kumsin? Sami?
Well, the next one we can look at is the Gomwa, the Aguna West constituency. Aguna West. You know, going into this particular race, Cynthia Morrison, the incumbent member of Parliament, you know, had offended a lot of people in the party and in Parliament. One of the 4 individuals whose seat was declared vacant by the Speaker because they decided to run or file as independent candidate in the next election. So in the primaries, she lost against Arthur Christopher, who currently works with the Youth Employment Agency as a technical officer. And then Arthur won this particular primaries. That angered her. She said that the party did not treat her well. So they decided to run as an independent parliamentary candidate in that constituency against the NDC's Ernestina Ofori. A lot of people were looking at this particular constituency, whether, you know, Cynthia Morrison was going to win it as an independent candidate because she had run in 2012 on the ticket of the MPP, 2016 on the ticket of MPP, 2020 on the ticket of MPP. So a sudden switch to become a member of Parliament as an independent candidate was what a lot of people were looking at. But then the result came. Christopher Atta, 20,693. Ernestina Ofori, 26,080. Ernestina winning this particular seat. It means that the member of Parliament for the area, Cynthia Morrison, could not make it. When you look at the figures given by the Electoral Commission, when you look at registered voters, 89,066. Those who turn out to vote tomorrow, 54,593. One of the constituencies in the central region. So she could not win her bid to become a member of Parliament as an independent candidate. The NDC in that particular constituency won it.
But I mean, how many votes did she get?
So she had 7,160.
So clearly,
So
I mean, if you
obtained,
look at it,
yes.
If you look at it, you see, if the MPP had managed this properly, perhaps
MPP
they could have
won
retained
the
seat. Because, look, you know, at a certain point, rumors came out that, or reports were that
she had rescinded her decision.
There were a number of issues at play, and I do not think that the national leadership of the party handled these matters properly.
I engaged one of the leaders on this matter, and he told me that they had made an attempt to speak to her to withdraw her decision or her candidature in this race. They've done several meetings with her. She was adamant. She feels that she was cheated in the primaries. And so for that to happen, she's going to run as an independent candidate. Delegations were sent to her to try and speak to her, but then she was still adamant and she wanted to run as an independent.
Well, I had an interview that she did and disputed many of these claims.
There was a picture of her and Kenneth Japon, and I think it was Alex Abeshomakin, trending just a few days before the
Alex's
election.
office.
And I interviewed her on Eyewitness News there was this shooting incident in the constituency just before the election. When I finished speaking to her on that, I then talked to her about the picture and whether or not she has been reached out to on not going independent. She said no. The party has not treated her well. She's not going to comment on it, but she's running as an independent person. And I tried to press her, but she would not. It sounded as if there was a conversation that was ongoing, but which conversation had not concluded. That's how it sounded to me. I think the party could have possibly dealt with it before the election, prevented her from going the full haul. But alas, they didn't. And so if she took 7,000 votes out of the NPP's votes, that is the picture that we are seeing there. NDC then cruises to victory. And therefore, the winner there, he just needs to win. And since it's first past the post, Charlie, whatever way I can win.
Even if it is one vote, you have won.
And this is a very significant win for the NDC guy. 6,000 difference, that's big. So if the 7,000 had gone to the NPP candidate, then he would have won. You know, so Agona West, well, Agona Central, right?
And it is a major lesson for the party and other political parties that when you have these internal divisions, and you know that the seat is important to you, particularly when it is situated in a swing region and has the capacity to go one way or the other, they have got to be much more serious to deal with the issues that are coming up. But if you are pussyfooting around the matter, and hope that rumors or reports, you know, either planted or put out there would actually discredit the candidate. You know, she showed that, look, I can take votes away. I may not win it, but once Beko Gold,
but she was fifth in the primary, which is something that they could, if she was a second or third, then, I mean, you're fifth. But because she's the incumbent...
But in Sky, almost all the candidates who run independent, from MPP, you know, run independent, one thing runs through: they were not treated well in the primaries. I was not treated fairly in the primaries. That's the same thing that runs through. When you look at the Suhu guy who also ran independent, the same allegation: I was not treated well. Cynthia Morrison, the same thing. So it looks like that runs through all their conversations that the party did not treat them well. But then again, I asked myself: you also came to defeat somebody. You unseated somebody. It's now your turn to be defeated, and you feel the party didn't treat you well. But when you won, the party treated you well.
Sammy, let's go.
But when you lost, the party didn't treat you well.
Let's move on. Central region, where else are you looking?
Let's do go Asin Central. That's Kennedy Japan's constituency. This time around, the NDC won it. He decided that he wasn't going to run again. The party did primaries, and then one Godfred Anu won the primaries. The NDC also presented, you know, Shaibu, Umar, help me with this name.
You're avoiding the name. It's Mijima. Mijima means husband of Shaibu. My mother. It's a Hausa, it's a purely Hausa name. So I'm assuming he's not a Fanti. He's a Hausa, this person. Mijima Shaibu Nurin. So I don't know how he manages to, maybe he's a local boy, grew up there. Well, he just happens to be from the Hausa ethnic group.
And this is the guy the party wanted to suspend. You know, the Central Regional Executives took a decision on him to suspend because of some misconduct. Alleged misconduct. So the matter was referred to the National Executives, led by Isedu Ketia. They decided to, you know, put away whatever decision taken by the Central and reinstated the guy. Maybe the party realized that he was the best candidate to win them that particular seat. Mind you, Kennedy Japan wasn't contesting again, so the party was presenting a new candidate. And this is a constituency that has been blue throughout. MPP has won throughout since Kennedy Japan contested in 2004. The NDC has never come close. But this time around, 2024, the NDC wins this particular seat for the first time. And the margin is just 417. 417.
Sky, Anewu sounds ever to me.
The what?
Anewu, Godfred Anewu sounds ever to me. The name of the MPP.
Anewu, yes, Anewu. Well, I mean,
sounds ever to me, which means that but Kennedy Japan himself was not Fanti either. He was not Fanti. So, and I've seen people are the bridge between Fantis and Ashantis. Oh, okay. I was trying to see if the ethnic card worked out.
For the first time, NDC wins this particular constituency. Registered voters 52,441. Those who came out to vote 32,544. So for the first time, NDC wins Asin Central constituency. Okay. And a lot of people also blame Kennedy Japan for this defeat because they say he didn't spend much time there. He didn't campaign in this constituency.
Where was he?
He was, you know, following Napo and Dr. Baumia in their campaign.
I thought he was in Dom Kwabenya.
Concentrating. What was he doing in Dom Kwabenya?
Maybe helping.
Ajwa wasn't contesting again.
Oh, okay.
Ajwa wasn't contesting. So this is the development in the Central.
Well, I mean, that constituency, you know, the gentleman who won, he gave Kennedy close marking in the previous election. I mean, he's not a new guy. And in fact, I know a number of people from the place. And they tell you that look, in the last election, he got 14,000 or so votes. Kennedy had 19,000.
Okay.
Kennedy, with all his, influence, wealth, and stature, 4,000 vote different or 5,000 vote different.
With this Mijima guy?
Exactly.
Oh.
So it was obvious that if you didn't bring Kennedy on board fully, right, and then also the government performed so badly the way they did, there was likely to be a problem, and that's what we've seen.
That's what I showed. Sammy, where are you taking us next?
I'm taking you to Infantiman constituency, an interesting one. Remember this particular lady, Ophelia Mensah? She came in on the ticket of the MPP after the demise of her husband, who was, I think was killed or shot by armed robbers.
She was shot and killed
some years back. A policewoman. So she came on the ticket of the party through a by-election. I think in 2019 or 2021 of these years. So she won again on the ticket of the MPP, and then she was defeated. In the recent reshuffle, I think she was the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology.
Yes.
By President Akufo-Addo.
So she and the other lady who also came through Parliament through a by-election after her husband died, the Honorable MP for Ayawaso West Wogon. So the two of them were both made ministers.
Yes.
Lydia Alasan was made Minister for Sanitation, and she was made Minister for Environment.
But before that, I think Lydia was a whip.
Yeah, she was deputy whip.
Deputy whip. So the result came, Ophelia, 24,099, representing 39.04%. Arthur Ebenezer Prince, Ahin Ebenezer Prince, 36,989, representing 59.92%, was declared winner. The win margin, 12,890 votes. Registered voters, 99,130. Those who came out to vote, 61,735. One of the 23 constituencies in the central region. I think this was her second attempt. Second attempt to go to Parliament after that particular by-election.
So she did a by-election, did 2020, and then this was going to be a second major general election.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's important to note that this is a coastal community.
Yes.
And the MPP, as I predicted elsewhere, they were going to be wiped out along the coast, particularly because of, how fishermen felt that the government had treated many of the issues, although they said they had built a number of landing beaches and these facilities for the people for the south. But you see, this particular constituency also behaves in a very interesting way. You'll notice that at some point, Stephen Asamoah Boateng Asabi was the member of parliament for this
constituency. Yeah, I was thinking of that. So this is Asabi's constituency.
Asabi's constituency. And then he was unseated by Aquinas Kwanzaa. Exactly. So you know that it's a constituency that...
And Aquinas himself was also defeated by the gentleman who died to leave this seat.
Exactly. So it's a constituency that behaves in a very, very interesting way. So I'm not surprised that...
But Aquinas held it for 2 terms, right? Or
yes,
just one? 2 terms. And then Asabi, how many terms?
I think he had 2 terms.
Asabi did the whole of Kufuor term.
Yeah, I think he did 2 terms. And then he must have done 2 terms if my memory serves.
And then so this lady's husband is Hayford.
Yeah, that's right.
So
he was unfortunately gunned down by alleged armed robbers.
Yeah.
And then the ticket was virtually given to her. She ran one, and then came to Parliament, got re-elected, and was trying to get re-election, and it didn't happen. Got swept away.
Wow. Sami, where else are you taking us in Central Region?
So, we can look at this particular constituency. Felix Kwachiofo's constituency. You're a very good friend.
Abra.
Yes. In the last election, he lost. He lost by, I think, some... 67 or 60 something votes.
Less than 100 votes.
And then he promised us on Eyewitness that he was going to stage a comeback.
But I told him that he did. I told him if he doesn't win the city, he should pass the entire Côte d'Ivoire and not come to Accra again because his man will become.
I remember on Eyewitness, he promised that he was going to win the seat because the last election he didn't believe the figures. But this is the outcome. Eric Kwabena Nyante, who represented the MPP, 19,598, representing 38.35%. Felix Kwachiofosu, 30,607, representing 59.89%. The vote margin, 11,000 from 130 something to 11,009, Registered voters 76,195. Those who came out to vote 51,102 votes. So Felix Kwakye also gets the opportunity to serve his people in this constituency.
60% is very good for him.
Yes.
Now Felix Kwakye used to be a party communicator in the Mills government, and then when John Mahama won, made him Deputy Minister for Information, which ministry was converted into Information and Communication. So when Edward Omaniboa was Minister for Communication, Felix Kwakye was there as Minister Deputy for Communication, but he was doing more of the information role. And then when Mahama left office, he became one of the paid staffers of John Mahama as a presidential, what was it, that thing that the president who is going out is qualified to go out with? Is it 2 officers or 3 officers? So
my first time experience with him was at the CJA, Committee for Joint Action, one of their press conference at the Freedom Center at somewhere, is it Newtown or
Kokomlemle? Freedom Center is Kwesi Pratt's
area there. So him, Kwesi Pratt, Honorable Kujatu Blackout. That was the first time I met Felix Kwakye. So from there, you know, he's gone within the politics until where he's reaching, as you mentioned.
He has done well for himself. He tried the Ablekuma North constituency primaries of the NDC. He didn't succeed. You know, he was defeated by the lady who was defeated by Efri Akoto. You know, it's interesting. And then he decided to go to his home constituency of Abra Asebu.
Well, congratulations to him, because, I mean, I saw him, you know, emerge. You know, at some point he was at the Ministry of Trade supporting, I think it was Hannah Tete, you know, as of that time when she was the Minister for Trade. So it's interesting that his come up, you know. We've had our moments on air.
Sammy, I want, before you sit down, just show me Eugene.
I do know, you know, in the last election he lost by 176 votes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
To the MPP's Maurice Donko. Of course, our good friend, what do you call it? The Kobna Nyante. You know Kobna Nyante of the Big Issue Faith.
Oh, that's him.
Yes.
And Felix has done him also like that.
Yes, I mean, that's a tough one for him to take.
We need to go, but I just want to see one constituency where the president's director of communication who stopped communicating and went to pitch camp in a constituency but came back with Shea. Talk to me about that.
Well, Eugene made an attempt to unseat, you know, Hannah Tete's sister Gisela in the Ewutu Senya East constituency. That seat was won for the first time by the MPP by George Anda in the 2016 election. By 2020, you know, he lost in that seat. Eugene wanted to make that bid and see if he can turn that constituency to blue, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. At the end of the election, Eugene 26,937 votes, representing 43.88%. And then Tete Agbutui Zela 33,999, representing 55.38%. The win margin 7,058. Registered voters 98,849. Those who came out to vote 61,385. So Eugene failed in his bid to represent the people of Ewutu Senya West in this constituency.
Sammy, the party communicators who have been saying they don't see him at the Jubilee House, they don't see his action.
Will not have opportunity to see him.
Eugene is back. He has lost Ewutu Senya West, so you can go to Jubilee House and look for him.
He's back to work though.
He's
Since
back.
Monday, he's been around.
Yes, I mean, he has to be around. But 7,000, all the absentees, 7,000. Anyway, I saw him issuing statement on behalf of the president. Sammy, you can resume your seat. We have to sign out now. It's been great coming your way with Situation Room on Channel 1 Television. Sky, is there any concluding comment before we are leaving?
Well, I mean, just to say quickly that, look, I expect the newly constituted parliament that takes office after the 7th, or actually on the 7th of January, to be the very best version of Parliament, the very best version that Ghana has on offer.
Very well.
And I hope that people like Felix, you know, would actually show their mettle.
Will enrich the debate.
Exactly, would enrich the debate, and it will be on.
I mean, when it comes to debate, I trust Felix when it comes to communication.
Yes.
Even though sometimes there's this principle in communication called information overload. He may play it on you, so you have to be careful. But thank you so much. This has been Situation Room. My name is Umaru Sandamado. I did this with Richard Delaskai and Sami Wiafi. We'll be back again tomorrow here on Channel 1 Television. Thank you for joining us.